Good evening, fellow Hogwarts students. Abby here with a special report. Just moments ago, we received shocking news that the Quidditch season has been cancelled. Headmaster Dumbledore quickly eased the pain with the announcement that the Triwizard tournament will be held in its place. The student reaction poll is still out, but initial reports indicate that overall we have student approval. What we know, the Triwizard tournament started over 700 years ago and was held every 5 years after that. One champion from Durmstrang, one champion from Beauxbaton, and one from Hogwarts will compete for the cup, glory, and 1,000 galleons in prize money. Years ago, the tournament was put on hold as the death toll rose among competitors. To safeguard students, an age restriction has been set, and to enter for a chance to become your school's representative, you must be 17 years of age. An impartial judge will choose which students will compete. Students from Durmstrang and Beauxbaton will arrive in October as we play host to the legendary competition. Good luck to all those who enter.
Hi, and welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I am Luke.
I'm Melissa.
And we are here doing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Chapter 12, the Triwizard Tournament. This chapter was 22 pages, and that is 3% of this book.
The three amigos make their way into the castle where they are bombarded by water balloons from the pesky Peeves, who retorts it doesn't matter because everybody's already wet from the rain before he scampers off. Harry, Ron, and Hermione take their seats at the Gryffindor table, and Professor McGonagall brings out the sorting hat, who sings his song. Not having been at a sorting since his first year, Harry realizes that it's a different song than the one at his sorting, but it's agreed that it's probably boring being just a hat and you have all year to write one new song. After the sorting, dinner appears and they all enjoy their food. Well, that is except for Hermione, who learns about the house elves in the kitchen and refuses to eat the fruits of slave labor. Once dinner has ended, Dumbledore addresses the student body and tells them that the Quidditch Cup will not take place this year. However, during an uproar, a grizzled wizard with a cane and wooden leg barges into the hall and is introduced as Professor Moody, aka Mad-Eye. Dumbledore continues with his speech telling the students that the Quidditch Cup is cancelled because they will be hosting the Triwizard Tournament, which is a competition between Hogwarts, Beauxbaton, and Durmstrang. He tells the students in the past it was discontinued because it had been deadly, but this year rules are in place for the champions' protections, including no one under 17 being allowed to join. Fred and George take this as a challenge as they're only a few months shy of 17, and Harry heads to his dormitory where he pictures himself as champion and Cho Chang cheering him on.
Alright, I saw a bunch of new named characters here.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Alright, let's just rock through them.
I'm going to take a drink. Hold on.
Gotta get prepared for this one. We haven't had a sorting in a while.
Dennis Creevy is in Gryffindor. We heard Pavarti's twin. Stuart Ackertley is in Ravenclaw. Malcolm Baddock is in Slytherin. Eleanor Brandstone is in Hufflepuff. Owen Caldwell is in Hufflepuff. Emma Dobbs is an unknown sort. Laura Manley is in Hufflepuff. Natalie MacDonald is in Gryffindor. Graham Pritchard is in Slytherin. Orla Quirk is in Ravenclaw. And Kevin Whitby is in Hufflepuff.
Nice
One
job.
breath.
We also met across the room, across the hall, Mad-Eye Moody.
Truth.
Haven't really talked to him, but he was there.
He made his presence known.
Yeah, what an entrance, right?
I have thoughts on the entrance later.
Dramatic. Locations, nothing really, right? I mean, we just kind of in the Great Hall.
Great Hall.
About it.
Okay.
And walking in, which we've seen before. Magicabulary, we have the chapter titular, Triwizard Tournament, and also reference to an aging potion.
First of all, can I just say an aging potion sounds terrible? Why would you choose to get older? Come on now. Can I have a de-aging potion? Get some of these lines? I'd be a big fan. No? Just me? Okay.
I will not comment because I know better.
You can comment. It's okay.
Oh, you're so old.
I mean, it could be worse. I could have more
Melissa
lines.
is so old.
So old.
It's just, I hope we get through this book before you keep getting older. 6
months to 40.
And 3 or 4 more years until we're finished with this. Got a long way to go, people. We do have an illustration this chapter.
I think this might be my favorite so far.
Really? Okay, tell us why.
Because it's Dumbledore.
Dumbledore!
That's right, I can see it as well. And it looks like he's on stage. There's curtains. There's fancy candles. There's silhouettes of people watching him. I like it.
Where does this fit in?
The announcements and all of the Triwizard. It's the moment where he tells everybody, okay, sit back. And if you already know about the Triwizard tournament, feel free to ignore me completely. And he tells his story. That's what I think. I don't know. I like it. Am I wrong?
No, it's cool.
I could be wrong.
I think I don't think of him as being on stage. Like, where are the curtains coming from?
Yeah, the curtains are a little much, but I like it anyway.
I mean, to be fair, Dumbledore is always performing.
That's true.
So I'll allow it.
And it's not like he's holding a wand in his left hand, so it's already a stellar illustration.
So in this small version on the Kindle, it kind of looks like the brim of his hat could be his wand, but then you look closer and clearly it's just the brim of his hat.
Oh yeah, just the brim.
But it would have been from his left hand.
But he might be left-handed.
He could be. He is.
It's never been stated enough. One way or the other.
Not yet, at least. Not that I've seen. All right, Melissa, you have a bunch of notes.
I do, and I wrote the questions. This was like quite the highlight chapter for me.
It's a long chapter.
I know. So my very first thought was Peeves dropping water balloons in the entrance hall on already pre-soaked teenagers might be one of my favorite moments in the entire book.
Yeah, Peeves is definitely a bit peeved about something, it seems like. Like, he's going out of his way to do this completely kind of pointless thing. Like, I don't know, it just seems like he's on a different level of frustration.
Peeves is so perfect in his making Hogwarts, like, not that Hogwarts is a real place, it's not, but without Peeves there, it's almost too perfect. He makes it, in an odd way, he embeds it in the real world of sometimes there's a kid throwing water balloons at you after you came in for being rained on. Like, I just like him. I would hate to meet him, but I really like him in the story.
Yeah, I kind of completely agree with you. And he kind of brings a certain whimsy to the story that it just feels like this is part of Hogwarts. You know, it's just, This is part of the magic of the castle, and it's not perfect. It's not school in the clouds. You know, it's a real place, and it's kind of silly in some ways. And
sometimes there's faults.
Right.
Like Peeves.
Right, exactly. So I'm with you.
Perfect petty Peeves. All right, so my next thought is I really kind of question the Creevy brothers and the things that they kind of latch onto as good ideas and good fun. Ooh, I fell in the lake. That was great.
Oh, that was probably the squid.
Okay, yeah, right? Those are not good things. That should be like I fell in the lake. I'm good. Like, it's not a big deal, but like, I don't need to be happy about that.
Like, oh, wow, what an opportunity. Like, whoa. At least they have a good attitude about it. I mean,
I'm just saying I question it a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on them.
Yeah, that kind of gets to one of my thoughts here as well. Could Dennis Creevy possibly be as annoying as Colin?
Yes. I don't even think that's an option. Yes. But here's the thing. I wonder if he's a little, I mean, obviously they both got sorted into Gryffindor. God, the talking.
Gryffindor. The cemetery house.
They both got sorted into Gryffindor, as I slow down my words. But Dennis is just all out wonderment of, I got thrown in the lake and the squid threw me out and this is amazing. There is no fear in that kid at all. He could not have gone in another house. Nowhere else would fit that.
Right. And it's almost like that completely blind, like, bravery of just being, you know what I mean? It almost verges on
my 18-month-old climbing on top of the cabinets just for fun.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of the ignorance bravery.
Uh-huh.
Which is fine. You know what? We all have our different strengths, I guess.
Dennis Creevy is a lot like my second born, even down to the teeny tiny size.
That's true.
Yes. All right, next thought. I have a nearly headless Nick thought. Sort of.
Nearly headless Nickism.
Nearly. It's near to a nearly headless Nick thought. Okay. He spawned my thought, if you will. So nearly headless Nick wants to continue Gryffindor's 3-year streak of winning the House Cup. I maintain, however, that the only reason they keep winning the House Cup is because Harry talking, not so much. Harry keeps getting put into situations that are on the verge of death and then escaping them and then being awarded a gajillion points for surviving a near-death experience. I believe if it weren't for Harry's almost dying all the time, would Gryffindor really have a streak to protect?
The answer is no. Like, we know
Not
that.
even a
Books
little bit.
1 and 2, it was basically like, oh, Harry did an amazing thing. Here's the House Cup. Let's reward this dangerous activity. I think we talked about that. And it was just like, is that... I'm all for
exactly.
like honoring what he's done. This is...
And then, I mean, it kind of culminates with... So there's that of like... Okay, don't go here. You went there. Good job. Here's 1,000,000 points.
And it worked out for you. Cool.
Yeah, don't go to the Forbidden Forest. You went in the Forbidden Forest and you made it out? Cool.
It's
Here's
expecting A and rewarding B. It completely undermines the entire system of the house points where other students are working all year.
And other students wouldn't get those rewards.
Exactly.
So then you've got... I'm going to skip back 6 chapters. When we were talking about Amos Diggory's sort of, oh, my son beat Harry Potter. I wonder how much parents and or other students notice the skew.
I don't think you could miss it. The students know. I mean, there's no way. I mean,
oh, when did you go to Hogwarts? Oh, I was at Hogwarts in 90. Oh, so you were there at the same time as Harry Potter. So you didn't win anything.
Right. Right.
It's like it's like the St. Louis question of where'd you go to high school? But like you already know, the winner was Gryffindor. So where did you fall after that?
Exactly. Yep. Yep. It's kind of unfortunate to be there at the same time as Harry.
Yes.
If you care about that.
If you weren't one of his good friends. Like, if it's benefiting you too, great. But, I mean, those poor Hufflepuffs over there working their tails off.
Or even the Ravenclaws. I mean, they're getting all these points in classes, which seems to be like the number one place that you would get points from what we've
Theoretically,
seen.
Yes.
And, like, they're busting their chops, you know.
And neither one of them had it for a while because Slytherin had been on a run for a while. So, ridiculous. Get some Ravenclaw love going up in here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Next. Do you think JK made September 1st such a thunderstormy, rainy, wet, disgusting night simply so she could have that moment that when Mad-Eye Moody walks in, the lightning flashes across his face? Like, that was what she wanted, was for him to have that, like, horror movie moment of the lightning flashing and all of his terrible features shining in that lightning light. And she's like, okay, how do I build to that?
100% yes.
Okay, good.
No doubt about it. And then basically kind of backtracks. Okay, I have to set this up early in the chapter that, hey, it's raining. What complications does that do for getting the luggage out with the taxi drivers? And like, oh, the mess there. And oh, I'm looking out the window on the train. It's still raining. And
what's going to happen to those first years? What's going to happen when they come in? We have
this new character that's the brother of another character that we know.
Yeah, okay. That'll be a good way to introduce them. Hey, you know what would be funny is that they're coming in and they're soaking wet and I'm going to throw Peeves in there. Okay, so why is he doing that? Yeah, no, it totally started because I want Mad-Eye Moody's face to be lit up by lightning.
Exactly.
That's it.
It's 100% the horror film vision that you very, very well described. And it's very much Dr. Frankenstein, you know, like, oh,
yes,
here's the monster, but is it also the doctor kind of thing, right? I mean, that's kind of the mentality we get from Mad-Eye. It's like, whoa, what's going on with this guy? Clearly, if he's getting this job, he's probably pretty smart, theoretically. Right. And, like, he looks insane.
True.
So, yes, that is absolutely the way she wanted to introduce this character. And, hey, let's have a lightning storm and build up to it. And it's done well. I think it is done well. But completely, that is why.
Yes. All right. I'd really like to hear Dumbledore's joke.
Yes.
The one that, so with the whole, everybody was kind of tense and all of a sudden Fred yells, "You're joking." And it relieved the tension. And Dumbledore says, "I am not joking, Mr. Weasley. Oh, now that you mention it, I did hear an excellent one over the summer about a troll, a hag, and a leprechaun who all go into a bar. But maybe this is not the time. No. I want to know the joke about the troll, the hag, and the leprechaun who go into a bar."
Me too.
Yep.
I actually had a note kind of similar to that vein, and like, how well does Dumbledore know the twins? Because I think it was specifically because it was Fred.
Yes.
Like, he knows that they're jokesters, so he's like, "Oh, like, do they talk? Like, do they like hang out?" I mean, because it doesn't surprise me that Fred and George would be like not afraid to talk to Dumbledore when he's like walking around the courtyard or whatever. Like, I think
they would totally do it.
Absolutely, kind of chit chat here and there, and like,
But everybody else would think they were crazy.
And we know Dumbledore is a bit silly and things, you know, like he likes quirky things. So I think they would get along really well.
I do too.
And like, there's even more evidence as it's going on, and he's talking about the aging line, or, you know, like the restrictions of the age restriction for entering into the tournament, and he's like clearly looking right at the Weasley twins. So like, he knows who they are. So I feel like I like the idea of the Weasley twins and Dumbledore sharing jokes in the courtyard in off hours.
Yeah, that sounds funny. All right. So my next thought is, I really like that Dumbledore gives people permission to not pay attention to his sort of recap of the Triwizard tournament if they don't need it. And I wonder if there are teachers, both at Hogwarts and in the real world, who could take a page out of that book. Like, I get it that you know this, but like, feel free to drift off mentally. Come back when you hear something that you don't know. But these other people need it. To give permission is kind of cool.
I get a feeling of a college professor with that. Like, I feel like there are classes where I've had, it's like, hey, you know, especially like early in a school year, like, hey, a lot of this should be refresher. But if you, like with distance students, sometimes it's the first time they've been back in school for a while. It's not the, you know, the standard college student who's there every single semester in a, you know, consecutively. Sometimes, oh, this is my first time back in 3 or 4 years. Some of this is, I need to do some catching up. So like, there are times I feel like I've had classes where the professor was like, "Hey, this is kind of a recap. I'd love for you to show up. If you miss it for the first couple weeks, kind of not a big deal. Just make sure you don't disrupt or prevent anybody else learning it who needs this help."
Got it. Yeah.
But I like it. It's a good mentality.
All right. Last comment from me, anyway. This chapter tells us that Neville's memory was notoriously poor. We have seen Neville only twice in this book so far, and both times we have been told how forgetful he is. We get it, guys. He's not with the remembering so good. Like, we get it. Please stop beating it over my head with a frying pan. I get it. I'm not forgetful. I'm not Neville.
Yeah. Like, is it just us that's frustrated by this?
I feel like I want to start like a love for Neville, or like it's some sort of hashtag.
I put one out there a little while ago because we had a Neville comment. We'll flip back. We'll check it out. Because I thought it was a pretty good one. It was like, just let it be Neville, or let Neville be Neville instead of, you know, like it.
Right. And just because he's forgetful doesn't mean he doesn't have other many fine qualities.
I mean, yeah, let's let that be the definitive characteristic. Like, fine, we remember that about him. Don't make that the reintroduction every single time. Do you feel like at some point in the series there's going to be some major thing happen, all because Neville forgot something, or because he remembered something? Maybe. I don't know. And Neville remembered it.
It was so memorable. Even that guy had it. Jeez.
Exactly.
Love for Neville, man. All right, so what do you got?
The Sorting Hat. First time we've seen it since book 1.
Nice.
Well, in a sorting ceremony.
That's true.
New song every year? What'd you think of that?
You got to do something while you're sitting there. Sure.
I loved it.
Although, so part of me wonders, see, I've been in education too long, that when you do those sort of like yearly performance type things in schools, you only need 8 songs.
Yeah, technically. Yeah.
You can rotate them.
The turnover.
Yeah, like, because no one is going to hear, even if you have 7 songs, they'll each hear a different song in their 7 years.
Right.
And then when that one leaves, you start over again. And then everybody will
Only
have
the teachers would really know.
What do they care?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, yes, it's new to them. I say maybe we're talking hundreds of years of sorting songs, right? Theoretically, maybe he's recycling some, or like adding a new line here and there, but for the most part, keeping this is my version C song that I'm doing this year. I changed this little piece, but I'm keeping version C.
That's fair. You can put a new melody to the same song, the same lyrics as well. It's a whole new song.
Absolutely.
See, not that hard, Sorting Hat. Come on.
Jeez. Anybody could do it. I mean, I'm not, but anybody could.
I just liked it. It was cool seeing the Sorting Hat again in its element. I don't want to put a pronoun on it. That's unwarranted. But I like the Sorting Hat. I like the sorting ceremony. I like that Harry pointed out. He's like, hey, this is the first one I've seen since year 1. Like, it was because cool.
Yeah, both Ron and Hermione missed 1. Ron missed 2 and Hermione missed year 3, but they've both seen one other.
Right, exactly. So only Harry was like, hey, this is weird. Like, that's not the same song. And they were like, yeah, dude, it's different every time it's different. Like, it's not a big deal. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
It was a cool scene. I liked it.
Yep.
We again have Ron not being too happy about something in general, but this time it reads, Harry, Ron, and Hermione slipped and slid across the entrance hall and through the double doors on the right, Ron muttering furiously under his breath as he pushed his sopping hair off his face. So this is after the whole water bombs thing as well. Ron's he's frustrated again.
Ron needs some chocolate.
He needs some chocolate. Get this boy some chocolate. Mm-hmm. He does shove his face with food pretty well here and spits on Harry's face, on accident. Oh, sorry about that.
Accident.
Right. All right. I would like you to open your book to the very beginning of the sorting ceremony.
Okay.
Do you see where it describes the stool that the hat is sitting on?
Yes.
Please read that line for me.
It's the paragraph right before the song, correct?
I believe so.
About Professor McGonagall placing the stool?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Professor McGonagall now placed a 3-legged stool on the ground before the first years, and on top of it, an extremely old, dirty, patched wizard's hat.
That's good. Professor McGonagall now placed a 4-legged stool on the ground before the first years, and on top of it, an extremely old, dirty, patched wizard's hat.
What are you reading?
My Kindle. Do you have your book 1 close at all?
No, but I can go get it.
Please.
Okay, hold. Okay, I'm back.
All right. I would like to get to the bottom of this. So, Chapter 7 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. 2 paragraphs before the Sorting Hat song. Please read, Harry quickly looked down.
Yes. Harry quickly looked down again as Professor McGonagall silently placed a 4-legged stool in front of the first years.
Exactly. That's what I thought, because I went back and checked it in here as well. So, the original printings of the book 4 had a 3-legged stool, and my audiobook reads that to me because it's based off of the original edition. We've had a few of these.
Says 3.
And I was like, I see the word 4. He's saying 3. We can go back 25 seconds. He's still saying 3. Mine still says 4. So I wanted to check because I knew you have your original edition still. So
no, I don't. Not of my book 4.
Oh, yeah.
This copy. So my book 4 is the only one that I had to rebuy.
How long ago did you rebuy it?
It's been a while, but it was after other changes had taken place that we'll get to later.
Okay.
And it's always been a real problem for me.
Yeah.
Because I liked my original printing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, it says copyright 2000. I'm looking, I don't see a print year.
Right.
which is frustrating because I know for a fact this is not
the original
print, but it does say third three-legged stool.
Yeah. So I like to point those things out because I find them interesting.
Me
I'm
too.
sure we've missed a few, but I know we've caught a few as well. So
Yes.
I'm glad we could get to the bottom of that. I'm glad that your book 1 is basically where so they basically at some point someone said, well, is this a new stool? Like, why can't it just be a new stool? Like,
And who cares? It's a stool.
right.
And maybe it's one of those optical illusion things where you're like, sometimes it looks like 3 and sometimes it looks like 4. It is a magical school after all.
Yeah, a magical school with a magical stool. Why not?
Yep.
Right. And if you're ever going to use a stool, 3 legs makes a lot more sense. It will never, ever be rocky. It will never rock on you because all 3 points will be on the ground. Where 4, if you have 2, you can have that rocking thing on the other ones.
Well, and even like in rock climbing, you should always have 3 points of contact.
3 points of contact. Or when you're climbing a ladder.
True.
Anyway, that's enough for Semantic Corner for the printing industry. So my next thought here is Harry's crush on Cho continues.
He'd like to be over at that Ravenclaw table.
Right? And at the very end, when he's talking about the dream, he's like, man, I'm glad Ron can't see the dreams that I'm having. Right? He can't see what I'm seeing right now. It's just, go on, have a crush. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no opinion on that because that's just like a kid thing.
Right. It's just another one of those nice job working it in and like not forgetting that being a thing for kids.
Without it being, that's what the story is about.
Right. Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I would. Yep. I would not be doing a podcast on a book that I love if that was the main story.
Mostly because you wouldn't love it then.
Exactly.
Looking at you, Twilight.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a part of it. Sure. Like, it can be a part. That's not, that shouldn't be the whole story.
It's not the thing.
It's not the thing.
All right.
Hermione's reaction to the house elves at the castle.
Slow clap for her on that. I loved it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I loved it. She's like, I'm not eating. And then when Dumbledore is like, now that we're all fed and watered, and she's like,
Right.
He doesn't know. Why are you mad at him?
It's, I don't know. Were you surprised to find out that there were house elves at the castle?
The first time I read it, yes.
Me too. It's just because I'm kind of with Hermione. It's like, well, like you would notice that or like, it's kind of like you're being almost betrayed by a close friend in her mind right now. Cause it's something very avidly on her mind of this is slavery. That's not okay. And I can completely agree with her. And just being like, well, this is my home and my home does this? Like what? It's just kind of a betrayal. Kind of. So I see where her frustration comes from.
I did too. Part of me though wonders, like, I think my shock was more like, how did we never notice?
Right.
How does they don't do laundry, which, I mean, what's the point of a house elf if you don't do laundry? But
who does laundry anyway?
Good question. Not sure.
I do laundry. I don't fold it. Nah.
Same. I don't fold it either, but I have minions who live with me who can fold. You
That's
don't.
true.
So my minions can fold for you. So
It has happened.
Right. I was more like, I can't believe I've never seen them before. I didn't really have I don't know. I don't know if I have a problem with them working in Hogwarts because I feel like while Hermione's heart is in the right place with the conclusion she's jumping to, she has her jump to conclusions mat out and is assuming that they're like hard pressed for their job. You know what I mean? I feel like she just needs to do a little more investigating, maybe talking to them directly, because I just don't want her to start advocating for creatures that don't want it. I don't know. I especially with like Nearly Headless Nick being like, no, they're like good. And granted, it's Nearly Headless Nick. He's not always the most reliable of sources, but I think she needs to go talk to them is my point before she gets all, I'm not going to eat anything ever.
I feel like, to use a Game of Thrones reference, I feel like she is completely Daenerys Targaryen in Marine. If you know the reference, I think you'll see what I'm connecting to here.
I'm like Daenerys.
And it's just a difficult situation. Like, how can there be slaves that are okay with being slaves? Like, it's just fundamentally not something you'd expect. Like, it,
right.
And how do you combat that? Because it's fundamentally wrong. They don't. So even though they're okay with it, that doesn't make it okay. And that's what Hermione is struggling with.
It doesn't, but you also have to start by... You can't change the system until you change the creatures that the system are impacting. You have to talk to them first. That's all I'm saying.
Right, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Slow your roll, Hermione.
Yeah, I'm really not disagreeing with you. I'm just more pointing out it's a mental struggle for sure. And when you have that, hey, this is fundamentally wrong. There's no chance that this would ever be okay. How does somebody disagree with me here? Kind of thing that she's struggling through. And I think it's well done, for her character to have a big problem, because we've seen her succeed at a lot of kind of not important things. I mean, schoolwork, sure, important, but like it's not like a big picture thing. This is a big picture thing.
I agree.
And she's struggling with it, which is healthy for her, I think. It's a good challenge.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay. I just want her to slow it a little bit.
Sure.
Not stop. Just...
She's in her emotional response phase.
Yes. And she needs to be a little more informed on all perspectives before she can start chipping away at the social justice piece of it.
Completely agree. Do your homework.
All. Come on, Hermione.
Before killing yourself over it. Like
literally.
Right. Oh, starve myself.
All right, Gandhi.
No Quidditch? Like whenever he says, "Oh, there's no Quidditch," it's really a salesman technique that Dumbledore does here, right? He's like, one big announcement is, Filch's list of 472 items.
Yes.
And also no Quidditch this year, so like there's that. And everyone's like, whoa, let's not, we gotta talk about that. And he's like, because we're having the Triwizard tournament, yo! Whoa! The rave lights go on, the strobe.
Mic drop.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, it's party time now. And so they're like, no Quidditch. Oh, wait, that sounds cool. I thought it was well done. I thought it was funny.
Let's talk about the trade-off, though.
Okay.
That's 28 people competing in a sport, and now we have one person.
You have 3 people.
But one from Hogwarts.
Right.
So, I just was like, yeah, you guys don't realize you're getting kind of gypped here, because there's no athleting at all happening except for, one of y'all.
So, typically, there's, 6 Quidditch matches?
Yeah, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, they're now getting 3?
Yes.
And I think they'd be more upset over that. But there is also the, hey, this is something completely different kind of aspect to it. And who knows, just the excitement of not knowing what it's going to be.
You can't do both. I think they could have done both.
I think they could have done both. I really do. It's like, oh, we're not doing that. Well, and do you remember the reason he gives why?
No.
He specifically says there's an event coming up that's going to require a lot of time from the teachers. We'll have to see how much effort the teachers have to put in for this event.
Okay.
I just thought that was interesting.
Blame it on the teachers.
Right? Oh, or the teachers, they just can't handle the extra workload because, as
so
Melissa clearly
work.
states out, they have such an unreasonable time schedule as it is.
But absolutely no oversight, so they can do whatever they want.
Right. Oh, no class today. That's fine.
Sweet.
All right, my last note here is, should the age line be set for 17, or should it be set for all 6th and 7th years? Because they should technically have the same, knowledge opportunities to that point, right?
As somebody whose birthday is always at the end of the school year, I would have appreciated that kind.
Right, yeah, I would have been out of luck by a long shot, too.
Yeah, and so, and if you think about that, so... It can only be 17 and ups. So let's say they do this every, what is it supposed to be? Every 4 years
5
or
years
something.
It says.
Every 5 years. And so the next crop of kids come up. And if I happen to have a birthday in September or October and I'm a 6th year, then I'm solid. But if I have a November birthday, I'm out.
Right.
And it could literally be somebody 3 days older than me. Yeah. So I agree. I like your solution. I think 6th or 7th year, or maybe maybe you can sign up now, but you need to be 17
before the first task. Before the
final
first.
task. Or something a little bit more wiggle room.
Mm-hmm. You'd still have the issue of people that are just a couple weeks short, but I don't know. I think it just comes down to if it's going to be the coming of age, of age wizard, it's you are legally allowed to make this choice, which is why it is what it is, as opposed to, but like for the reasons that they give, it's a safety thing and you might not know enough thing, which at that point it's just like, well, all the 6th and 7th years will have had the same educational opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the extra couple weeks that any of the other students that are just old enough, like 6 years that are just old enough, because there's 0.25 of that school year that basically apply, if that makes sense.
It's 2 months. It's September and October.
Right. So 25% of that school year class would potentially be eligible, somewhere around that. 20 to 25%.
It's a 6th.
Okay, 20%. A little less.
Less.
18%.
Roughly.
Yeah. Give or take. Plus or minus.
Be a 5th, so it's less than that.
Yeah. But
anyway,
I think 6th and 7th years would make more sense.
I agree. I'm down with that. Let's make that change, just like the 3 to 4-legged stool.
There we go.
Done. Canon.
All right. Burning questions of 5. Got any?
I got some burning questions. Number 1. Is it more likely for siblings to be placed in the same house or in different houses?
So it's left a little open-ended here, right? I mean, from our experience, typically it's been, the Weasleys are the main evidence that we have here. We haven't really met a whole lot of other siblings. Like, there's a lot of only children, or at least, like, siblings that aren't at school yet, potentially.
Right. Well, we just got older. Dennis and Colin Creevey going to the same.
Right.
And we just found out about Pavarti's sister, which we should have known because back in book 1, they sorted Patil and Patil, but we only ever had Pavarti Patil with us. Mm-hmm. The other Patil had to go somewhere. So obviously she's somewhere. I don't know if we knew she was her twin sister, but.
Yeah, we just found that out.
They were just. Yeah. So I just wonder, like, are the Patil twins the anomaly, or is having 7 siblings all in the same house an anomaly? Because that could be fairly different too. I mean, if I take a look at our siblings, yes, we all have common traits, but there are definitely different house allegiances that kind of happen with us too. Mm-hmm. But then I wonder if it's, mom was of this and dad was of this and grandpa was of this. So like, I wonder if that plays in as well sometimes.
I feel like just like every family is unique. And so I think it could easily be in some families, it's hereditary. I mean, it's because those are the main things that get passed on. Those are the main things that household grows up valuing.
Did somebody say Draco Malfoy?
Somebody say Draco? Yeah, I mean, so you value that and you make a point of that growing up, and like you have that house pride because, both parents were such and such, and so we've made a thing and so you inherently value those things and becomes a part of you just by nature of being around it, kind of thing. Sometimes there's still something that like, well, it's not quite for me, like that's cool. And those individuals will stand out and be like the only one in a family. Like if Ginny was like, I'm not quite like, I mean, I fit in, but it's not me. Like maybe I'm a Hufflepuff or maybe she's a Ravenclaw. But in either way, I feel like the 7 in a single house is probably the anomaly more so than a large family having a couple different ones.
See, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Just makes Weasleys that much more special.
They're so special.
Aw. All right, question 2. Of all of the new additions to Filch's forbidden object list, which one would you most like to have? A screaming yo-yo, a fanged frisbee, or ever bashing boomerangs?
Ever bashing boomerangs sounds awesome. I'm going to go with that because screaming yo-yo sounds annoying. I do like yo-yos, but it doesn't need to be screaming at me. Fanged frisbee seems painful. Like, I love frisbees, but like, I don't
like really you just have to catch it very carefully.
Right. I think the ever bashing boomerangs seems like, right? You have to catch it.
Like, I'm going to smash it on the top and the bottom and make sure the teeth can't bite me.
Right. I'm going to go with the ever bashing boomerangs. I don't exactly know what that means.
See? That sounds dangerous. It sounds like a boomerang that just keeps hitting you on the head.
Fine. Better than getting your hand cut off. Or having a constant headache from a yo-yo that won't shut up.
No, the fanged frisbee, like it's 2 little teeth pricks. I think I would go with the Fanged
I
Frisbee.
think I was thinking of a little bit more intimidating fangs, I guess.
Well, and my other thought is an ever-bashing boomerang. Like, it implies that we'll do it forever. You will always be bashed. Like, you will eternally be bashed on the head by the boomerang. And a screaming yo-yo, I agree. That's a really good gift to give as an aunt.
Or an uncle.
To Abby's kids.
To Abby's kids. Fair enough.
Done. But the Fanged Frisbee, I feel like, could be put away.
What if the ever-bashing boomerang is really just like the snitch, right? I mean, you can lock it up, and that's not a big deal.
You'd have to have, like, it better come with a locked box of some sort.
It probably does, right? It comes with a crate.
Yeah, I'm going with Fanged Frisbee. Because how much fun would it be to throw that to a dog? I mean, terribly mean, but, like, that would be mean.
That would be very mean, Melissa.
How about your little brother? College campuses with Fanged Frisbees? Come on now.
Yeah, totally.
Fanged Frisbee golf?
There you go. Just cuts the chains.
Nope. See? Fanged Frisbee. That's where I'm going. Question 3. What is the death toll of the Triwizard Tournament?
So, we know that it started about 700 years ago. Mm-hmm. They have it every 5 years. So...
There's been several years where it's been canceled also.
Right. So, let's say they haven't done it for the last 100 years. So, 600 years of doing it.
300 years of doing it.
So, 120 tournaments-ish.
Roughly.
I'm going to say... So, and
three champions each time, 360.
360 contestants-ish. I'm going to go with 105. So that's 29%.
I'm going to go with 60.
So 16, almost 17%. I feel like there have probably been a couple times where all 3 contestants were killed.
I agree, but I also think there's time, like stretches of years where nobody got injured or nobody got killed. Injured maybe, but you know, the mortality rate was able to.
I think that's fair. Maybe I was going for a casualty number as opposed to an actual mortal death toll.
No, death toll.
Right, yeah. Maybe my 30% is a little high. That could just be like, oh.
I think injuries are at least half.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say so.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
A lot, either way. Enough to be a concern.
Too many children.
Yes.
This is not the Hunger Games.
I was going to say, it feels a lot like Hunger Games. I mean, how many 11-year-olds are accidentally, you're like, whatever this is.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Oh, dear Lord.
And it's not. Question number 4. What would you use the 1,000 galleons prize money for?
I would buy 142 wands. Because we know that...
You did the math on that, right?
We know that the wands are, what, 7 galleons is what Harry paid?
Yeah.
So, yeah, for all my wand lore studying that I want to do, I think I need 142 wands.
Okay.
Assuming that they're all averaging 7 galleons a wand.
Right. Roughly.
That's reasonable, I think. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do with money.
There are. I'd buy ice cream.
Chocolate, yeah.
Or different flavors. I'd go hang out at Florian Fortescue's place.
Heck yeah.
Right?
Yeah, support your
I'd
local
go on a vacation, some wizard vacation of some sort.
Which we've already discussed. Like, how expensive is it really to travel? Like, it's not the traveling, it's the being places that cost the money.
Right. Yeah.
Because flu powder would be, like, the only thing you need.
Flu powder. But the only thing you need is
it's not just the destination, it's the trip getting there. So maybe, the airfare of broom rentals and all of this, or maybe you go to Egypt and get on one of, Ali Bashir's flying carpets. Maybe that costs a little bit more, but go on luxury,
so fun.
Right?
Right.
Heck yeah.
All right, question 5. What kind of power does the Bloody Baron have that actually keeps Peeves from attending the feast anyway?
Right. I mean, it seems like it's all couched in intimidation, right? The way it's sold to us, it just feels like, oh, he's terrifying. But, like, Peeves is a poltergeist. He's a spirit-esque thing. Like, what can he really do to him?
And Bloody Baron's a ghost.
Right.
With no physical ability to do anything. So I feel like there's got to be some sort of information, right? Like some sort of blackmail. Like there's a story there. That's how I feel.
Haunt frequently visited by ghosts.
Which here means?
A feeding place for animals. Yeah, I don't know what specifically he could do. I think it's just gotta be some kind of intimidation with... there's something that the Bloody Baron has over it.
Right?
Yeah,
There's a thing there.
There's a thing, and I think there's a thing.
Okay.
All right, Melissa, let's get into the chapter superlatives. What was your favorite line?
Not doing nothing, cackled Peeves, lobbing a water bomb at several fifth-year girls who screamed and dived into the Great Hall. Already wet, aren't they? Little squirts. Whee!
I love it. Peeves
You love
cracks me up.
Peeves.
I do. He just makes me laugh.
I've always been so annoyed by him.
Really?
Always. Oh, yeah.
He is way more interesting to me than like Sir Cadogan ever was. He's more interesting to me than any of the ghosts. I just give me Peeves any day of the week. Although not in person.
Oh, no, I've always been frustrated by Peeves. It's just a nuisance. Like, it's like, no, just leave me alone. Like, mind your own business. I don't know. Like, he's just there to be frustrating. Where at least Cadogan was...
exactly.
Oh, yeah, let's be big fans of being frustrated.
That's the brilliance of Peeves, is that she created some, like, he's just so original.
I like the way it's done. I would hate it in my real life.
Oh,
and I think that's maybe the disconnect.
I agree. In my real
have.
life, that would be terrible.
Yeah. I'm trying to put myself at Hogwarts and like
wishful thinking, man.
Dealing with Peeves
Let it go.
Would be the worst.
I agree with you.
Awful.
But in terms of like literary entertainment, he's amazing.
He's all right.
You're wrong. Move on.
Okay. My favorite line. Harry and Ron seized him, Neville, under the armpits and pulled him out, while a suit of armor at the top of the stairs creaked and clanked, laughing wheezily. "Shut it, you," said Ron, banging down its visor as they passed. This is, again, like, just the castle being funny itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I loved... This is a line that I didn't really even remember, but the suit of armor sitting there laughing at Neville, who got stuck because he's forgetful. Don't forget, he's forgetful. But even the suit of armor was like, this idiot. Like, it's just hilarious. And then Ron, banging his visor closed. It's just comic. It's slapstick. I like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I almost picked that one too. It was like, I like that this chapter really began with something funny and ended with something funny like that. Mm-hmm. And there was some cute stuff in the middle, but in general, it was just like a good, lighthearted chapter.
Yes, totally. So who is your chapter MVP?
Peeves.
Chapter MVPeeves?
MVPeeves. That's right. Because he gets points for creativity.
Most valuable poltergeist. My honorable mention, I have a tough time with this one. I've got two that I really liked, and also not really a standout between the two. I'm gonna pick one. Don't worry. I'm not gonna try to choose both. I'm trying to convince myself. I was hoping you would have made this easier for me. I didn't anticipate as much Peeves love as there was.
Peeves today.
I could tell.
I know which one I would pick of your list, if that would help. I'd pick option 2.
That's what I'm leaning towards. I'm going to go with Albus Dumbledore here. My runner-up was Sorting Hat. Just nice to see him again. There wasn't anything like specific that he did other than the new song, which I thought was good. But Dumbledore, funny. I mean, really witty when he almost tells the joke, but kind of catches himself, and or McGonagall is like, hey, like, knock it off. I love their relationship. It's funny. It's cute. Like, they're not like an item or anything. It's just...
It's like your work wife.
Exactly. They're like an old married working couple, right? I mean, I like it. And Dumbledore's always quality.
And that takes us out. Yes. We are done for today. In the meanwhile, between now and the next time we talk at you, please reach out to us at Not Named Podcast. You can, that's on Twitter. You can find us online at thepodcastthat.com. We would love if you would hit us up on our Patreon account. As you may have noticed, our unrestricted sections have moved to our Patreon exclusive releases now. So if you miss out on our unrestricted section, and let me tell you, we have some really interesting ideas going on over there, please join our Patreon account at the $3 or higher level, where you will get access to all of our unrestricted sections, along with a plethora of other really cool content and giveaways, depending on the level you choose. We would appreciate your support, and we have special content just for you there. You can email us at thepodcastthat@gmail.com.
Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes and on YouTube. We would truly appreciate that. We'd like hearing from you. Listen to this Not Named podcast on Radio Public. It's free, easy to use, and helps listeners like you find and support shows like ours, and all of the shows at thepodcastthat.com. When you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everybody benefits.
Join us next week when we read chapter number 13.
Mad Eye Moody. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.